Hello and welcome to YOLO Broadcast, where we provide various and interesting information worth knowing once in your lifetime. We've got the hottest trends, the coolest stories, and just the right amount of crazy to make your day epic. So sit back, relax, and let's live it up because you only live once.
For today's broadcast, we're gonna turn back time to a few years ago, right during the Japanese colonization period in Indonesia.
Whoa, did I hear that correctly? Indonesia's colonization era? Isn't that like 80 years ago?
You heard that right, Tasha. We're gonna turn back time to about 80 years ago.
Great, can't wait to hear it. So, what's this information we're gonna talk about today?
Right, so today we are going to talk about the professions during Indonesia's colonization period. To be more precise, during Japanese occupation. As we can see from the graph shown in the screen, the chart here illustrates the estimated distribution of professions in Indonesia during the Japanese occupation period, during the year 1942 until 1945. During this time, farming appeared to be the primary occupation, involving approximately half of the population in Indonesia during the time, whereas forced labor, or known as Romusha, is believed to have made up around a quarter, or 25% of the whole population.
Nice. And as I can see from the graph, I can see that farmers who are responsible for producing essential crops made up about 50% of the total population in Indonesia. Most of the farmers' harvest was reportedly taken by the Japanese during the occupation of Indonesia. This left many locals with little food for themselves, leading to shortages and hunger. The Japanese controlled agricultural production to support their war efforts and often forced farmers to hand over rice and other crops. As a result, many Indonesians seem to have struggled to survive back then.
Correct. Forced laborers, or known as Romusha, many of whom had to work on big projects such as railways, roads, and factories. They had to work long hours with little rest and very little food. Many of them became weak from exhaustion and hunger. The conditions were harsh, and they often didn't have the proper shelter or medical care. And as a result, many seem to have suffered from illnesses, and some didn't even survive.
Oh, that's a pity. So what does that last 25% part consist of then?
So the remaining 25% of professions were thought to be divided among government employees, who made up roughly 10% of the population, soldiers and paramilitary personnel that also sum up to around 10%, and traders and business owners, which comprises of only 5%. After the Dutch left, some Indonesians got jobs in government offices, but they didn't have much control or say in decisions. At the same time, Japan trained some Indonesians to become soldiers, which later helped in the fight for independence. Meanwhile, shop owners and businesses and traders had a tough time because Japan controlled the economic tightly. Many struggled to keep their businesses running as supplies were limited and trade was restricted.
Great. So to conclude, during the Japanese occupation, most Indonesians were likely to have worked as farmers or forced laborers, which were under strict control. Where economic hardships were spread throughout Indonesia, traders seemed to have struggled and government workers also had limited power. And that was some eye-opening information. It's crazy to think about how tough the situation was back then.
Yep, learning about history helps us appreciate how far we've come and reminds us of all the struggles that our ancestors faced.
Nice. So, and that's a wrap for today's YOLO broadcast. We hope you enjoy today's discussion and learn something new.
Catch you all next time with more exciting topics and fresh stories. Until then, stay awesome and remember, you only live once.
Bye!
Bye!